Oi boys, welcome to another video on the channel. We are back with the final preview prediction of the Rugby League World Cup. We've got the out and out favourites, Australia, taking on the underdogs, Toa Samoa, who had plenty of hype heading into this tournament. And after the first week, a lot of people jumped ship, even their own supporters. It was a rough week one for Toa Samoa, but they have pulled off the 180 of doom, qualifying for the World Cup final, showing out in back-to-back weeks against quality opposition in Tonga and England, and just continuously one-upping themselves. Can they go one better in the final and take out the best team in the world? Let's talk about it. So as far as team lists go, they haven't been announced yet. You know, they love to leave it late for the Rugby League World Cup. We'll just assume that both sides that played last week will be the same for this week. Maybe a couple question marks for the players that suffered a bit of a head knock, like Fa'amanu Brown and Oregon Galfusi. And you know what, I wouldn't be surprised if Mal changes his squad for the final. That would be pretty on brand for him this tournament. He's been chopping and changing like crazy. But yeah, the predicted lineup for Samoa, starting with the back five, we got Joseph Suaalii, Tiny May, Tim Lafai, Stephen Crichton, Brian To'o. In the halves, Jerome Luai, Anthony Milford. The front row, their skipper Junior Paulo, Noel Brown at hooker. Again, not sure if he'll be at 100%. And Royce Hunt. Back row, Lingi Sao, Jaden Su'a, and Oregon Galfusi. And on the bench, Chanel Harris Tavita, Josh Papali, Spencer Leniu, and Kalma Tuilangi. For the Australian Kangaroos, starting with their back five, you have their skipper, James Tedesco, the Fox, Josh Adokar, Latrell Mitchell, Jack Whiten, and Val Holmes on the wing. In the halves, they got Cam Munster, Nathan Cleary. The front row, Jake Trbojevic, Ben Hunt, Regan Campbell-Gillard. In the back row, Angus Crichton, Liam Martin, and at lock, Isaiah Yeo. Their bench consists of Tino Fa'asua Maleaui, Cameron Murray, Paddy Carrigan, and Harry Grant. As for players to watch, we'll go with 3 players to watch for each team. We'll do 2 from the starting side and 1 from the bench. It'll be tough to not talk about all the players, but we'll do our best here. Starting off with the Samoans, it's one of their big boys, their skipper, in particular, Junior Paulo. We've seen what he can do at the highest level, which is state of origin, and just how influential he can be. So we know what he's capable of. You know, he's got that tough carry in him, obviously. He also has soft hands, nice ball playing, and his offload. The latter has somewhat been the key to their success recently. I think if Samoa were to be successful in the final, it would be on the back of this bloke and the other player from the bench, Josh Papali'i. Since seeing him named on the bench a few weeks ago, I thought it was a bit of a masterstroke. I liked the idea that Papali'i coming off the bench would be, I thought at least he'd be more useful that way, and it's kind of been the case. You know, Royce Hunt, he's a bona fide tone setter at this point. He's been a bloody juggernaut for the Samoans to start the games. And you got big Josh Papali'i, who has the same attributes as Junior Paulo. They've been a nice little 1-2. And finally, their third player to watch. Like I said, I could talk about attributes that all these players bring to the table, but we just don't have the time for that. Anyway, it's Jerome Luai. I want to see the pest from the West do his thing and get under the skin of the Australians. In particular, who he's coming up against, his Panthers partner in crime, Nathan Cleary. That little duel is what I'm looking forward to the most. The Samoan left versus the Aussie right. We saw a bit of that action with the Fish last week against Liam Martin. Let's see if they can keep that same energy with Luai and Cleary. As for the Australians, a few players to watch. With the starters, we've got a couple of backs here, starting with Latrell Mitchell. Last week he was my player to watch, and although he had a pretty quiet game offensively, his defense was near perfect. He came up with some massive plays, man. And this week I'm looking forward to his battle against Steve Crichton. Sticking with the right versus left theme, we've got, again, Nathan Cleary for the same reasons as Jerome Luai, the little head-to-head battle. And Cleary's yet to really stamp his authority on any of these Kangaroos games. So I'm interested to see if he can, take control of this team and help steer them to yet another world championship. And finally, the bench player to watch. This one's a bit obvious. Harry Grant. How can you not pick Harry Grant when he's named on the bench? That dude's going to be such a problem for the big Samoan forward pack. Bit of an offbeat type of player. You kind of know what you're going to get, but man, is he hard to stop. As for my pick to win the match, my prediction, I'm not going to go against the underdog here. So let's talk about how Samoa could potentially win. They would need to play the perfect game. You heard it here first, boys. Just play the perfect game, that's it. If only it was that simple to play the perfect game against the best team in the world. All jokes aside, it isn't out of the realm of possibility. They're going to need their players with big game experience to really lock it in. Their discipline in particular has to be on points. I mean, that's the sole reason why England were in the game last week. Samoa was the much better team in my opinion. The forward pack to make it ugly and offbeat with offloads, generating second phase play. I mean, when you think about it, that's somewhat the recipe for success against all of these elite teams, but like I said, it's a much easier said than done. If it were that simple, we'd see more upsets, but that just isn't the case. They do, however, possess the talent to make an upset more likely. Now more so than ever, you know, with Australia looking a little, I guess clunky is the word of the tournament for the Australians. So yeah, we're going to be picking Samoa yet again, going with the heart on this one. Plus, who doesn't love an underdog? I could go on for days about all the head-to-heads I'm looking forward to, like Suaalii and James Tedesco. We'd even mention Brian Toa or Josh Addo-Carr, or the battle between the hitmen Liam Martin and Jaden Su'a. You know, Su'a's one of those trench players as well that can change momentum with his defense. It's a mouth-watering matchup. Can Samoa pull off the upsets, or will the game breakers across the park for Australia be too much? If you enjoyed that and would like to see more rugby league related content, or more content in general, be sure to subscribe to the channel. A little disclaimer, I mostly post gaming videos, so don't subscribe if you're not keen for that. As always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you. Later.
I was born and raised in Oz, but I got that 685 in my blood. Don't forget your roots and who you are. No matter how close or how far, it's still red, blue and white stars. And I do it for my culture. My people straight soldiers, keep my family closest.